Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us this evening. I am C.R. McLeod. I am the Director of Community Relations for DelDOT. And hard to believe, but we are just over a year now into this project and thought this would be a good opportunity to provide the local community with an update on the work that's been done. A lot of it is very obvious to anyone that drives through this interchange on a regular basis, and also talk about what's ahead as we move into the next several phases of work. We are recording this meeting this evening, so for anyone that a neighbor or a friend that might be interested in hearing about it, this will be available on the website likely tomorrow by the time we have it ready to roll out. We have several members of a project team that are joining us this evening, and if we advance to the next slide, we'll get going. First and foremost, hopefully you're not having any issues with audio or video. If you do, you can also dial in using your phone at the number that is shown here, and you're able to just follow those prompts and include that information if you do need to join by phone and be able to listen to the meeting in the listen only mode. Next slide. We are also going to be taking questions during the meeting, and if you have any questions, as you see here on this screen, there is a Q&A tab on the bottom of the screen. You can click on that, and the bar will appear. Next slide. And then that should bring up the question box. You can type your question there in the Q&A, and we will be going through those at the conclusion of the presentation. If you cannot use the Q&A function, whether you're right now you're out mobile or you're just not able to access it, you can also send us an email at info@I95Improvements.com. We'll also be including those in the Q&A session. And if for some reason it comes in late or we don't get it till after the meeting, we will respond to you promptly as well with that information that you requested. So those are just the ways that we can communicate as we go through the presentation. Each question will be reviewed. We'll be able to highlight those, and again, we're here to answer any questions you may have. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm C.R. McLeod. I'm the Director of Community Relations. Our primary presenter this evening will be Mark Buckaloo. He's our Chief of Construction and Materials. He'll be walking through the update. And then we have really members of the entire project team here: Evan Brodsky, Matt Vincent, Brianna Kovic, Robin Bryson, and then Stephen Pinoza, Natalie Barnhart, and Brandon Zarilla. So we've got a good team here that are monitoring the day-to-day of this project, and again, keeping tabs on the progress that's being made. And we'll be glad to answer any questions or comments that you may have. Okay. So we're going to kick this off with just a brief update from Mark Buckaloo. I'll turn it over to Mark. He'll walk through those updates, and then we'll move into the question and answer session. Mark.
Thank you, CR, and good evening, everyone. Appreciate you joining us tonight, taking time out of your busy schedules. I want to give you just a quick update of what's going on with the project, the current project status. Year one of construction is finished. We have our long-term detours in place, which is the Northbound 95 to SR 896 ramp that's closed until about the fall of 2025. And the SR 896 to Southbound 95 ramps, those are also going to be closed until fall of 2025. We have the detours up, mostly for the Northbound 95 to 896. You'll just continue along 95 and take the SR 273 loop ramps and circle back down to 896. That's a fairly simple detour. And of course, if you're traveling southbound SR 896 to southbound 95, that detour is really the same thing. Just go northbound on 95 and use the SR 273 loop ramps to come back down to southbound 95. And of course, a lot of people end up just taking SR4 to Elkton Road get around the toll if you choose to. Our current project status, we're currently in phase 2A of construction, if you want to call it a phase 2A of construction. We're currently widening northbound and southbound 95 for the new flyover ramps. This includes widening of the existing bridges over Norfolk Southern and SR 72. We're currently constructing the 5 new bridges for the new flyover ramps. We're widening southbound SR 896, the interchange down to the Glasgow High School entrance. Today, we had the right turn lane from southbound 896 to Old Baltimore Pike is closed. That'll be a 14-day duration on that. We really need to reconstruct that right travel lane and turn lane. So the only way to do that safely is, unfortunately, we have to close that right turn lane for that brief duration. And this is an accelerated schedule. Of course, contractors are going to get in, get the work done, and get out because we understand the big impact this is going to have on the community. So we don't want to take any longer than necessary. We're also widening northbound 896 from Old Baltimore Pike up to the interchange. When I say we're in phase 2A, the contractor is currently working in multiple phases, trying to get as much work done as possible with the amount of workspace that they have. So we call it phase 2A, but they're currently working in multiple phases on this project. As you can see, there's a lot of activity going on. I have some great drone footage for you to kind of show you the activities that are ongoing on the project. So our ongoing work, we're currently doing the ground improvements. I'll show you that locations on southbound 95 at the 896 interchange, currently doing some bridge foundations, constructing MSE walls for bridge superstructures. Everyone can see the steel flying through the air. And of course, the drainage work's ongoing and concrete paving along 896. It's a great drone footage of the interchange. This is really looking at southbound 95. This is the future exit to SR 896, either if you're going northbound or if you're going to go southbound SR 896, this is the approach to that flyover bridge to go to southbound 896. You can see the area 1 is, we call that the ground improvements. There's significant work ongoing there. I have another photo here a bit later. This is another drone footage of basically you're looking southbound on 95. On the right-hand side, you'll see the approaches for that southbound 95, the 896 exit. And of course, on the left-hand side, you have southbound, you have the 896 to northbound 95 approach there coming in the northbound 95 direction. This is the area 1. We're calling it area 1, which is there's significant ground improvements ongoing here just because of the soils that are there. You see a lot of drill rigs trying to improve the ground there, so we won't have any settlement when we build that MSE wall. So there's a significant amount of work going in this location, which why this kind of looks like it's lagging behind a little bit. It's not really lagging behind. It's just there's a lot of work that's going here before we can build this MSE wall, which will be coming up. Probably later on this year, you start seeing the MSE wall going up here. And of course, this is one of my favorite drone photos. This really shows 896 in the southbound 95 to southbound 896 flyover ramp, and then the southbound 896 to northbound 95 flyover ramp going over 95. You really see there's a lot of work going on here. A lot of work's been done. They've only been working a year. It's been a tremendous amount of work that's been done in a year. They're making great use of their time and resources out here. This is the southbound 896 to northbound 95. You can see they have the SIP forms down. These are stay-in-place forms, that aluminum-looking sheeting on top of the girders. This is what they're going to place their concrete bridge deck on after they set their forms and set the rebar. But you're going to start seeing a lot of work going on this bridge in the near future. This is, of course, this southbound 896 to southbound 95 ramp going over the Christina River. They have one of the abutments completed. They have the piles driven. They're going to, of course, have to construct the rest of that abutment on the southern side of the Christina River before they can set steel there or set the girders there. Here's the southbound 95 to 896 ramp and the SR 896 to northbound 95 ramp. You can see both of these two start to converge a little bit. Of course, One's going to take you underneath the southbound 95 to southbound 96 is going to go underneath of the southbound 896 to northbound 95 ramp. You see the little pink arrows, pink and orange arrows. You can kind of see the direction of the way traffic is going to flow through there when everything's completed. This is again the southbound 896 to northbound 95. They completed the MSE wall. The bridge abutment there is completed. And if you look over on the left side, you'll see some equipment moving material. This is over on the Iron Hill side, but that's where the future shared use path is going to go, which will give the community really an opportunity to go from one side of 95 to the other side of 95, which really didn't exist in this area. So when this project's completed, this is going to be a really nice feature for the community, being able to go get across 95 on a bike or jogging or walking or however you want to choose to travel. Again, you'll see you're looking at the Iron Hill side. This is the southbound 896, northbound 95. This is where hopefully you should start seeing some steel going in the air, linking the abutment to the piers and all the way across 896. We'll talk about some traffic impacts that are going to be necessary at night when they get to set this steel, but you can start to see everything coming together now and start to see a picture of what's going on, what these ramps are going to look like when we're finished. Again, continuing on the southbound 896 to northbound 95 ramp. They finished driving some piles on the one abutment there. They still have some piles left to drive on this project, but they're just about finished driving piles, which is really good news because they can be a little on the noisier side. So the pile driving is almost complete out here, but you're starting to see this section come together, which is just north of the 896 on ramp, but south of the Christina River. And of course, that as we're continuing along that same ramp, you'll see the abutment finished on the north side of the Christina River. They're driving piles on for the southern abutment. This is the ramp from southbound 896 to northbound 95. You start to see how that's going to start coming together through there. Sorry, next slide. As we continue along, heading north on 95, you see a lot of the widening that's occurring on southbound 95 and northbound 95. They were able to finish the precast arches, the arch beams that are going over top of Norfolk Southern's tracks there. That was a big activity they had to complete, and they got that done. Sometimes working with the railroad, coordinating schedules can get a little dicey. So that was a big piece to coming off of the schedule to get that those arches set. And of course, we have SR 72. The piers are finished there. The abutments are getting finished there, and we hope to be setting steel there pretty shortly for 72, and that's going to be good news for the community, I think. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Here's a better photos of those precast arches that were set over Norfolk Southern. Again, this permits us to widen 95, get everything widened over top of the railroad tracks. You should start seeing a lot more activity over there as we're able to widen out 95 now that those arches are completed. They can place more fill through here, start to place more fill. Of course, this is the SR 72 overpass. You can see they're pretty close to getting done on these abutments and getting ready to set steel. They're hoping to set the girders here on over top 72 sometime late in July, which is really good news because once they finish that, they'll have to be able to hopefully reopen up SR 72 to 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now let me pivot a little bit, talk a little bit about work zone safety, which is something it's always high on the department's list is work zone safety, worker safety. Our people are our biggest assets. So we'll talk a little bit about work zone safety and some of the traffic numbers we're seeing along this corridor, along this project. So as we monitor crashes in the work zone, of course. So along 95, 896, and SR72, you can see the crashes these are reported crashes from 21 to 22, from 22 to 23, and from 23 to 24. Of course, from 23 to 24 is when we've been under construction at this interchange. You can see an increase in crashes along 95 and SR72, a little bit of reduction in crashes along 896. So probably a lot of that has probably more to do with slower traffic through the work zone, which is a good thing, but we're still seeing elevated crashes along 95, which is always a concern for us because talking about higher speeds, tight work zone, reduced lane widths. So this is always something the department monitors when we're doing projects of this size and magnitude. We've implemented some safety improvements to try and just improve communication, let drivers know what's going on as they're driving through the work zone. We implemented speed wizards, so shows drivers how fast they're going in real time. We instituted wider striping lines at the lane shifts to really draw to the driver's attention to which lane they're supposed to be in as they're traversing through the work zone. And we placed route shield markers and exit only on the lane line so travelers knew what lane they were in as they're traveling through our work zone. Traveling through the interchange, they know which lane they need to get into looking to exit, or if they need to stay on 95, which lanes to stay in. We saw some benefits out of this on the viaduct. We're seeing some benefits here, but we really need to drop the speeding through the work zone is really the biggest impact for us that we're focused on. So in June of 2023, Governor Carney signed into law the Electronic Speed Safety Program, which we are going to put into effect on this project, the 95 and 896 interchange project. We did a pilot deployment on the Restore to the Corridor project, which is the Wilmington Viaduct, several years ago when we did that project, and we saw a major benefit out of the electronic speed safety program through the work zone. We saw significant decreases in speeding along 95 when we did this in Wilmington, and we saw a precipitous drop in crashes, total crashes, reduction in injury crashes through the corridor. It was really a plus running this out there and getting people to slow down through the work zone. We're going to be deploying the same electronic speed safety program here on the 95 and 896 corridor. We're going to be setting up the speed safety program along northbound and southbound 95. So when we look at this corridor, again, we track all the reported crashes along 95. And as you can see, these are the red circles indicate crashes that occurred along northbound 95. So you can see there's an increased number as you get in through the work zone itself. Our intent really is to kind of get traffic to slow down. So as you can see the yellow pin, I'm giving everybody a heads up here. That yellow pin is where we're planning on placing the speed camera. So we're not hiding it from anyone. We're just telling you, hey, there is going to be a speed camera out here along northbound 95. That yellow pin is where that speed camera is going to be. Along the southbound direction, again, you can see the little red circles. These are all the crashes along southbound 95. That yellow pin is showing you where we're going to put the speed camera. We're not looking to write a bunch of tickets to a lot of people. We just want people to slow down through the work zone. That is the only intent out of this entire program, because we want our staff, we want the contractor staff to go home safe every night. We want all of you to be able to just travel through the work zone safely. And we believe that reducing the speed will do that. We've seen it on the viaduct. We saw reduction in crashes. We saw reduction in speeding on the viaduct. We want to do the same thing here. It's been a really good program for us. Again, we're not making money off this thing. We're trying to get you to just slow down. That's really what this is about. So under the current program deployment process, we have to post a 14-day public notification. Now, I just got updated of when we're going to deploy the electronic speed safety program. July 8th is going to be the first day we start monitoring, we start putting out the electronic speed safety devices. Okay, so July 8th, which means we have to put a 14-day public notification out, which CR is going to put out a public notification to tomorrow to let everyone know that we're going to start monitoring the speed with speed cameras on July 8th. Now, under the law, we have, following a public notification period, we have a 21-day warning period. So July 8th, we're going to start putting the cameras out, and there's a 21-day, call it a grace period, where we'll, if you get caught speeding, you'll take a photo of your plate, you'll get a little mailer sent to your house, and you'll know you've been speeding through work zone. But that 21-day, you won't get a ticket. After the 21-day warning period, which is going to be July 29th, we will start issuing citations to motorists driving 11 miles an hour over the 55-mile-an-hour posted speed limit. So citations will be issued after July 29th of this year. Now, the citations will include the same fees and costs you'll typically see on a speeding citation given to you by a police officer. Work zone citations are civil violations, so these are no points assessed against your driver's license. We're not contacting your insurance company, but you will be assessed a fine. And to give you, we have a little example here of if you're doing 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. Of course, higher speeds result in higher fines, but 11 miles an hour, first offense is going to be $118. If you have a second offense, it's going to be $166. So hopefully everyone will just slow down through the work zone, and we won't have to issue any citations, and we'll have a reduction in crashes through the work zone, which is really what we're trying to do here. There will be, sorry.
And Mark, I was just going to add, for those that are curious, during the I-95 pilot program, we did actually have at least one vehicle that was ticketed for going in excess of 100 miles an hour through the work zone. So again, it's that need to ensure traffic is moving safely is the catalyst for this program.
Yes, I remember that, CR. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so what to expect? What's coming up for the interchange? SR 72, again, we're down to one lane in each direction. We have that contraflow going on. We plan on opening that back up to 2 lanes in each direction before Labor Day. Hopefully before school buses start rolling, we'll be back to 2 lanes in each direction. Fortunately, all of you have taken different routes. I have been through that corridor several times. I didn't see any congestion through there, but I know that's a key route for a lot of people. So before Labor Day, we should open 72 back up. 95, the southbound 95 to southbound 896 ramp, you're going to see a slight alignment shift, and I'll talk. Steve did a great slide on this one. I'll show you that in a few slides from now. You'll still have some periodic overnight detours along 95. Of course, the 95 detours are just for some sign structures that have to go up. You have some overnight detours for 896. When they set those bridge girders over 896, that'll be this summer. That'll be nighttime closures of 896 to throw the steel across 896. So again, nighttime detours there. And of course, I don't think we're going to have to detour SR 72. I think we're going to try and do that. Contract's going to try and do that with rolling roadblocks. But when they set the steel across 72, that's coming up pretty soon here across Route 72. And of course, we'll have some ramp closures here and there when we go to do the ramp shift from southbound 95 to southbound 896. We'll have to close that ramp to do some work there. Of course, you still have your periodic shoulder and lane closures on 95, 896, and 72. All right, so southbound 95, 896 ramp is the ramp you can see there. You see the little green haze to the left side of that ramp. It's kind of where traffic is. That's the shoulder of where traffic is running now. We're going to start that radius a little bit sooner. What that will do is that'll give us the opportunity to build that MSE where you see proposed southbound 896 and northbound 95 ramp. I'll give the contractor an opportunity to build that MSE wall so they can start building that ramp in there. So you're going to see I'm sorry, go ahead.
And Mark, can you just briefly explain what an MSE wall is to the audience?
Yes, thank you, CR. My apologies. Mechanically stabilized earth wall is basically you'll see those concrete panels, and they have straps that come off the backside of those panels into the soil, and we basically build soil on top of those straps, and that's what holds the panels up. As most interchanges use these panels that are set, and the straps go back into the soil, and the soil is actually what keeps that panel in place. So you'll start to see those going up along that ramp. The contractor started those MSE wall panels, but they need a little bit more room so they can get the rest of it installed, so they can construct that ramp. It's just an impact to the schedule we need to get executed. Sorry, Sierra.
And for reference, an MSE wall, if you go up to the 95 Route 1 interchange by the Christiana Mall, for example, those large flyover ramps, and you see those large concrete walls, that is an MSE wall, that much like you'll be seeing here at 95 and 896.
Thanks, CR. All right, so you're gonna see that ramp shift at some point in the next couple of months. Of course, here's the other section of girders. That's go over 896. This is, again, the southbound 896 and northbound 95. These girders will be set sometime during the week of July 8th. It's kind of highlighted there in the orange hue, showing you where those girders are going to be placed over top of 896. Again, that'll be an 896 detour when we do that. I think it's going to take them about 2 weeks to do that work. Of course, it's going to go on at night, so won't impact daytime travel. It'll probably be after 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. before they close 896 and do that work. And this is the last piece of these girders were set previously. This is the southbound 95, the southbound 896. That was one of the earlier girders that they set. Once they're done that abutment, that northern abutment, they can finish setting those girders across 896. But you won't see that happen until that abutment is completed. So there's an MSE wall, CR. There's an MSE wall that faces the Cooch's property. That is the southbound 896 and northbound 95. You can see highlighted there as MSE wall and MSE wall. That MSE wall has a different panel look to it. It has a different face to that panel. It's special for the Cooch's property. And we are working with the consulting parties for the Cooch's Bridge, historic bridge. We're going to be staining those panels certain colors to sort of match the surrounding area to give that more of a natural look to the MSE wall. Again, that's what's going to be facing the Cooch's property there. No other segment along this interchange will have these special panels or the special staining that these panels will receive, but to really give it a nice natural look to match the community, to match the surrounding in that area there. It's going to face the Cooch's property.
Mark, one other quick thing to note too is just that that's just part of the phase two. After this project is complete, we are also going to be having a landscaping project too. I just want to make note of that we're going to try, because there were a lot of trees that had to be removed within the limits of construction here. We're going to try to replant as many as we can in the area afterwards.
Yes. Thank you, Brianna.
Thanks.
Yeah, we understand the impact that this project had, and we want to replace a lot of trees that were taken down. So that was very important information. Thank you, Brianna. So I think this is why everybody's on. When are the ramps opening, right? That's what you want to know. It's what you tuned in at 6 o'clock, and now it's 6:30. So as you can see on the screen, southbound 95 to 896, those ramps, we plan on opening those in the spring of 2025. The southbound 896 to northbound 95 ramp, we intend on opening that in the fall of 25, as well as the 896 to southbound 95 ramps. We're going to open those up in the fall of 25. as well as, and also the northbound 896 to northbound 95 will open in the fall of 25. What will push into spring of 26, that is the northbound 95 to 896. That's going to open in spring of 2026, as well as the shared use path, which again is a major highlight for this project. This shared use path will probably open in the spring of 2026. You'll probably see that coming together here sometime in 2025. We won't be able to open it probably till 2026. All right. So with that, I'm going to hand it back off to CR.
Okay, well, many of you have already taken advantage of our updates and visits to the project website. And for those of you that may be just joining us for the first time, we do have a number of ways that you can stay in touch and up to date. As this project continues, we're not quite at the halfway mark, as you just saw from the timeline that Mark shared. So we still have a way to go, and we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone informed as these next phases begin. First and foremost, we have our free DelDOT app. You can track, get project updates. You can look at cameras, not just in this area, but across the state, and get real-time traffic alerts as well. A lot of good information available on the free DelDOT app. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, please add it to your app library on your smartphone. We also have a construction liaison, Natalie Barnhart, who's also joined us this evening. Again, if you're sending an email to the project website, it is more than likely it is Natalie who is responding to you. She gets back to everyone very promptly. So if there's any concerns, questions, Natalie is the point person for those questions that are coming in regarding construction on the project. We also have we have our project website, as I mentioned, which is 95896improvements.com. And on that website, you can actually see where we record these meetings. We have previous meetings that are also that can be found here on the project website. You can also sign up for those email and text alerts. I just was seeing a couple of questions come in about impacts of different closures that are going to be happening. Really, the email and text alerts are your best way to stay informed of when those are happening, so that even though many of those closures are happening in the overnight hours, for those that are working at night or need to head out during the overnight hours, having that information ahead of time will save you a lot of aggravation, so that you're not having to detour around the construction site at the last minute. So please take advantage of those tools that are available on the website. Okay, so with that, we're going to move into the Q&A session of the program. Again, you can use the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen to add any comments or questions you may have. It looks like we've got more than 30 so far, so thank you so much for those comments. We're going to go through those, and if that spurs any additional questions, please add them. You can also submit them by email again after the meeting, if anything comes to mind after this session, and you can find that on the website as well. So with that, we'll move into the question and answer session. And again, we've got a very knowledgeable panel that are familiar with the ongoings that are happening out here on the daily basis with the project. And we'll start first with a question from Shirley. Thank you so much. Is there any point during the project where the northbound 896 ramp to northbound 95 will be closed for more than overnight work?
We do not have any intentions as right now to close that northbound 896, northbound 95 ramp. That is a heavily used ramp.
Correct.
So no, we do not have plans to close that ramp more than overnight, but that is a good question. Thank you.
Okay. And again, Shirley, you can sign up for text alerts and email alerts, so you are aware of when those overnight closures will be happening. Our next question from Edie, and this is actually it's a timely question, though not directly related to the 95 896 project. And the question is there anything planned to help mitigate the frequent bottlenecks on northbound I-95 approaching the 295 split? Yes, we are all familiar with that. And Mark, we have some good news about that.
We do. We just finished a pre-construction meeting to start that 295 widening project, and we plan on starting that project end of July. You'll start to see a lot more activity in August as we start that work. A lot of northern Delawareans are looking forward to this project, I think, to help improve traffic flow through that area. I know every summer, northbound 95 seems to back up every Friday afternoon. So looking forward to starting that one. Yes, good question. Thank you.
We'll be sharing more information about that as construction gets started, along with the timeline and more detail. So stay tuned. But yes, it is happening, and we are eager to see that project get underway also.
CR, really quick, just following on to that, we are going to have a website, kind of a dedicated website, similar to what we have for this project, for that 295 project. So that should be going live here soon, just before we start construction.
Fantastic. That'll be great information for everyone to track the project's progress and answer any questions that come up with that as well. So look forward to sharing that information here later this summer. For our next question, we have from Christina. It is on Southbound 896, just before Glasgow High School. The shoulders are being expanded and another lane is being added. When this was done, the trees on the divider between old and the new section of 896 were removed. With traffic now closer and those trees eliminated, are there plans to put up a sound barrier of any kind?
So CR, I can take that one because it's related to some of the design phase a while back. And I think we've gotten these questions in the past. And a noise analysis was completed in the design phase in accordance with our noise policy. That falls under our NEPA, which is the National Environmental Policy Act, that procedures that we have to do early on in the design. We did not warrant any noise mitigation here, and that goes within the project limits too, for other sites as well. One thing to note too, that when a noise analysis occurs, the model is created not just for the current traffic that's out there, but also the projected traffic volumes and configurations.
Okay, thanks, Brianna. Our next question is from Chris, and he's asking, are there going to be two continuous lanes from southbound I-95 to northbound Route 896?
I could take that one, CR, and let me pull up a slide here.
I was just going to ask that. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got some slides ready, but so the southbound I-95 to northbound 896 will remain a single lane as it is today. And the configuration, if you remember a few years ago, we did a project in advance of this project. And that was to make that on-ramp on 896 come on its own lane. So we did a lane addition. So that configuration will be the same. So you'll have a single lane on 896 northbound, and then where the 95 southbound to northbound 896 will come in as its own lane. To answer that question, I think.
Great, thank you. Okay. And for our next question, we have, okay, and we've actually got several questions about this that are about the new pedestrian and bicycle path over I-95, and just asking for a description. I think we've got a slide that may show these in a little more detail. We also have that on the website as well, but here it is. Thanks for pulling that up. Can we just talk a little more about that new path that's going to be built?
Yep, I can chat about. Thank you, Steve, for pulling this one up. So the bike ped road follows the alignment of the new southbound 896 to northbound I-95 ramp. So you're, from an orientation standpoint, FYI, you're kind of rotated 180. To the south here is Newark on the screen. So if you're coming from Newark, you can follow that purple line right there along our new ramp up towards where Iron Hill is. Then it kind of spurs off from there and runs parallel to 896. And as CR mentioned, and I'm going to give the plug to the website, you can check out a lot of this information at the 95896improvements.com website. That's 95896improvements.com. If you want to see a little bit more information again about the background of the project and the proposed improvements. I think I saw in the Q&A one of the other questions, which Mark had mentioned a little bit. We are anticipating opening this in the spring of 2026. It's towards the end of the project and one of the final phases. I also saw, CR, that I think there was a question about if the trail will have access to the pond at all for recreational purposes, and it will not. So I wanted to let folks know about that as well.
Great. And again, this is a first of its kind project that we're doing in this state. You know, we obviously have multiple crossings of I-95 here in northern Delaware. This, as Brianna just mentioned, just to reiterate, this will be separated by a barrier wall. So there will be no interaction with the moving traffic. This will be a dedicated pathway just for bicycles and pedestrians to move through this area in a safe way and reach the beautiful Iron Hill Park, for example. And one of the questions that was also was, you know, how will the bike lane cross Old Baltimore Pike? The bike lane will run adjacent to Route 896 up to the Old Baltimore Pike intersection, and then there is an existing pedestrian crossing at that intersection that one would need to utilize to cross Old Baltimore Pike and 896.
Yes, thank you for that one, CR. I totally skipped over that one.
No worries. Okay, just a comment, and yeah, thank you for the feedback. Next time, could you add more, you know, the arrows to allow us to get our directional arrows to allow us to get our bearings quicker? Absolutely, we can actually, you know, add those onto our slides and that we are putting up on the website. And again, if there's any that you'd like us to go back to, you know, please drop a note in there. We can certainly revisit it. We always try to move through quickly because we're sensitive of everyone's time, but we can certainly revisit any slides if you'd like to have a longer look. And again, these will all be available on the website. And then just another question here about about back to the trail is, where will the pedestrian and bicycle path access be on the Iron Hill side, and when will that be open? I know Brianna just mentioned the timeline of spring of 2026, but the pathway actually continuing all the way up to Old Baltimore Pike, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, and I don't know if the clarification is asking if there's access to Iron Hill. It does not connect into Iron Hill. It just follows the roadway there.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, this next question is from Stephen. It says, one of the worst problems with the current phasing of the construction is the Southbound 95 exit to 896. The construction of this area has caused exiting traffic to be diverted closer toward 896. This has resulted in both the northbound and southbound 896 exits having to use the same lane. And there's just a note about there's traffic delays that are happening there and crashes. What is being done to mitigate that bottleneck to resolve the issues that we're seeing out here?
So this area is something that was constant concern before we started work at this interchange, and it's really another reason for this project. A lot of times traffic would taking the northbound 896 exit would queue up, and which would restrict traffic wanting to take the southbound 896 exit. So there's a lot of traffic exiting off of 896, which is the reason for this project. So my answer is this is why we're doing, one of the reasons why we're doing the project. We don't want to have delays on the 95, which we end up with a lot of rear end crashes, which is one of the reasons for the project. So yes, good question, Brianna.
So yeah, Mark, just to elaborate too, and make note that, you know, obviously right now we're in a temporary situation during construction, and a lot of times that's always you know, a lot harder with traffic shifts and everything. But as Mark had mentioned, just if for folks who haven't tuned into some of our previous workshops and even during design, as Mark mentioned, this is a major reason why we're doing this project. About 2/3 of the traffic actually gets off of 95 to this location, either heading north or south onto 896. It is what's considered a major diverge, which is a term I've learned during this process. So we recognize that. That's one of the big reasons why we're here doing this. So yeah.
And the current crashes that are occurring out there, again, is one of the reasons that has prompted us to implement the electronic speed enforcement program to get cars to slow down. You know, really the number of incidents that we've seen decrease of just with as cars speed slow down is significant. So, you know, our hope is that we'll see those crashes can decrease once that program starts, because traffic won't be going quite as fast. So that's something we'll continue to keep an eye on, you know, as the project progresses. So our next question is from Ryan, and it's asking about capacity of northbound 896 through the old Baltimore Pike intersection. Is there any improvements that are being made there to help you know, move that traffic through that backs up on northbound 896 through that intersection in Old Baltimore Pike, heading toward the interchange, especially because of the you know, especially during peak travel times in the morning, just referencing the lengthy backups and sometimes taking, you know, 10 to 15 minutes to just clear that area because of the heavy traffic volume.
Yeah, so CR, I can answer this one too. You know, one of the big questions again too during the design phase was, hey, what's going on at Old Baltimore Pike intersection? And for this project, the main focus and goal was, all right, what is the purpose and need for the issues that we're seeing at 95 and 896, and how can we address those without making or adversely affecting the OBP intersection down there. So we don't have anything planned at the moment under this project for that. Think that there are other discussions within the department about that intersection though, but that would be a separate independent project.
Thanks, Brianna. A question about the speed, and again, yeah, this commenter is correct that the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit is not being enforced, hence why we are implementing the speed enforcement program. We're seeing travel speeds continue to be well in excess of that, and we're going to be implementing this program to help enforce that speed limit. You know, one of the challenges through any construction zone is you lose shoulders, you lose median, you lose safe areas for the state police to do active traffic, you know, traffic speed enforcement. So being able to utilize the new cameras will assist in that. And you know, Delaware State Police is very much aware of the issues that have been happening out here also. So they will, you know, continue to you know, to be out there, and that's something that we're seeing, especially on you know, all of our highways, with the creation of the new Delaware State Police Highway Traffic Safety Unit, which was announced in May. Again, they are dedicating resources now just toward highway traffic safety on the major roads in Delaware: 95, 495, Route 1. Those are all going to be roads that are now specifically served by a dedicated force of Delaware State Police officers to help rein in a lot of these dangerous driving practices that we've been seeing. So with our next question is more of a construction question, with the requester talking about the just being concerned about the size and span of these girders. They are immense. You know, there's with the concern about the span of the girders between the support structures, especially where there is a temporary support structure. You know, how certain are we that there's enough strength in the girders and their connections?
So the steel girders, the temporary shoring towers, go through a rigorous shop drawing process where the fabricator submits their shop drawings to the engineer record. They review those shop drawings, and of course we have inspection staff in the plants checking everything to make sure the steel's fabricated per plan. It's a very rigorous process to make sure we're dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's to make sure that these girders that are being erected have sufficient strength, and that they're fabricated properly. A lot of checks and balances.
Thanks, Mark. Another question about the speed cameras, just asking about where the money collected from these violations goes. Again, the question about, is it, Mark, can you talk about where, we collect the monies from the program, and how is that money used?
Oh, there's upfront costs to establish these speed cameras, and a lot of the money that's collected goes right back into the cost to set the cameras up, the cost to maintain the cameras, cost to move the cameras, the cost to replace the cameras if they're damaged. There's not a profit margin here. So the money goes right into pretty much going into the program itself.
Correct. And utilizing those funds to really to operate the program. And then any money in excess of that, we are dedicating toward traffic safety. That money is dedicated toward our traffic safety programs, in excess of the operational costs of the program. Again, that's one of our primary responsibilities, is just to make all modes of transportation as safe as possible. We launched our new Be Delaware campaign earlier this year. If you haven't had a chance to check out the website, it's bedelaware.del.gov. Again, just trying to raise visibility and keep safety at the forefront of everyone's minds. We have 58 fatalities on Delaware roads since the beginning of this year. More than half of those fatalities have occurred since April 1st. So, we want to avoid seeing that number grow, and that's really what the intent of all of these safety tools that we're using are. The next question is actually is one again, and is regarding, do we get upset when someone puts graffiti on those panels? Yeah, it is discouraging to see, because a lot of work goes into trying to keep our roads clean, and we have a lot of we have maintenance and operations employees that are out daily dealing with graffiti on our infrastructure. So yeah, it is discouraging to see when we have graffiti go up. A lot of these surfaces are intentionally have a texture to them to make it more difficult or challenging. But yeah, we certainly hope we won't be seeing any large scale graffiti. But again, if that does happen, we do have crews that go out and address that in a timely fashion. So moving on to the next question here, and this is from Richard. It's, in addition to the MSE wall and replanting of trees along the Cooch's Bridge historic site, will there also be noise reduction berms to maintain the serenity of the historic site?
Yep, so I can answer that one, CR. This is actually a question we've gotten before, and it has been a recurring question too. Similar to the one earlier, but again, the noise analysis was completed during the design phase in accordance with our noise policy, and this area too did not warrant any noise mitigation efforts. We had also asked to take a look at berms from a visual side of things too for this area, and in the past week we had looked at that. And because of the height of the berm that folks wanted to block off the MSC wall, the tie-in to be able to tie back into the existing ground from that height would have significant impacts to the right of way. So I wanted to add that as well.
Thank you, Brianna, and we'll move along. To the next question is, will there ever be ramps from 95 to Route 72? And this is from Amanda.
I can answer that one. I don't think that any of us have, and if others can chime in here. I don't think any of us have heard of any plans for that effort. Matt, I don't know if you want to chime in there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, so this comes up from time to time with discussions with WMAPCO. That's the Newcastle County and Cecil County, Maryland Metropolitan Planning Organization. So it comes up from time to time. Just questions that arise, but no, as of now, there's nothing in our long-term plan to construct any ramps off of 95 to 72.
Okay, and the next this is just regarding the left turn from northbound 95 to 896 northbound. Just a question regarding why there's no change really to that traffic configuration there, that you still have to cross 896 southbound.
So thank you, CR. With the new ramps from southbound 95 to southbound 896 and northbound southbound 896 to northbound 95, there really isn't. There's going to be a significant reduction in the amount of traffic that's on 896, like on the bridges across 95, the existing bridges on 90 along over 95. So there wasn't really, I'm going to say, a huge need to alter the ramp from northbound 95 to go to University of Delaware. What we anticipate is with this significant decrease in traffic along that section should make travelers make it a little bit easier for travelers to make that left to go towards northbound 896 off of northbound 95. So it will be a new ramp, but it won't be a new alignment for the ramp. It's just slightly new alignment for the ramp.
Okay. Next question is, there are signs up about the different traffic patterns on 896. I assume that these are related to the southbound 896 to westbound Old Baltimore Pike right lane closure. This is often a major pinch point in that area. Is the duration of the 896 light at OBP being adjusted in that area? And then why don't we tackle there? It's actually a two-part question. Can we address that piece first? Are we monitoring the traffic signals at Old Baltimore Pike?
Yeah, so just kind of goes generally for the whole project, but we are constantly monitoring all the traffic signals on the job, and they are adjusted as they're monitored. So yes, what you're seeing for the traffic pattern there change is what Mark had gone over earlier. We do need to shut down that dedicated right turn lane, but we do have the contractor on an accelerated schedule to do that work because we know it's going to be impactful. You will still be able to make a right turn from the right through lane, and yes, the light will be adjusted. As the traffic backs up. Like I said, it's monitored and we make adjustments on the fly.
Great. Okay. And next question here is just regarding some of the materials, and Brandon, if you're able to talk about just a question about where we are sourcing the steel for this project.
Yeah, so Wagman has hired a vendor by the name of High Steel Structures to fabricate all the steel on the project, and they're located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So interesting, out of the 6 new bridges on the 2 flyover ramps, 5 of those structures are made of steel, and the other structure that will have steel on it is the widening at I-95 over 72. And again, all that material is coming from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much. Just a question about when will 95 South exit to 896 northbound be closed? Again, we will sign up for those text and email alerts. They will, be able to keep you informed of those upcoming closures. That is a again, we will try to give as much advance notice as we can when those closures are going to be happening. The next question is asking about, is it still going to be at the southbound I-95 exit and the southbound 896 road are still going to have a zipper merge into their desired lanes?
Steve, are you able to pull up what's proposed out there again, just so folks have a visual? It's a lot easier to see. Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
So for folks to know, along 95 southbound, we are actually widening for quite a good bit. I think it's maybe a mile, Steve, and you can correct me there.
Yeah.
I see you not in there, so yeah.
It's almost a mile. Yep.
Right. So hopefully with between widening so far in advance, which is where the queuings at the worst time in the PM peak had backed up to, and we're able to get folks over a lot quicker. There's also going to be a barrier then separating the folks who are trying to exit from the high-speed traffic that's going along 95 again, which is one of the big reasons why we have so many crashes out in this area, is because you have folks who are queued up on the rightmost lanes of 95 and folks who are just, you know, zipping by. And you have those rear end crashes or sideswipe crashes. Hopefully, again, with this additional widening area, you're able to get folks over sooner. You have a much longer queue, and they are going to be separated from that traffic.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add, Brianna, is the new southbound exit's going to be a 2-lane exit,
Right.
which we could get more traffic off. And then once the traffic gets off 95, then it's separated, go north or south.
Okay, we actually our next question, I'm actually going to combine. There's several questions just regarding the folks that get off of I-95 at 896 to avoid the toll, and just questions about the toll plaza in general. You know, again, if there were no toll plaza, would we even have to be doing this project? And I think that's it's an emphatic yes, that really the toll plaza isn't the catalyst for this project. And Brianna and Matt, I'll let you speak to, you know, again, what the overall needs for this project and where the heaviest traffic movements are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think CR, one of the questions too was the impact of the toll jumpers, right, in this area, and so, you know, we kind of can't control what we can't control with folks doing that. I'm hopefully with an interchange that's much more efficient from an operation standpoint, people will want to use it. So again, the needs for the project, and you can visit 95896improvements.com for a much more detailed version of this. But again, you have all of that heavy traffic heading southbound on 95. You've got about 1/3 of the traffic heading northbound on 896, another third of the traffic heading southbound on 896, creating issues along 95 and creating that delay. And one of the biggest kind of factors that causes that delay is that southbound 95 movement to southbound 896 movement that's conflicting with the 896 southbound movement to northbound 95 movement. Both are very heavy traffic volumes. With this project, we're able to separate those movements with these 2 new flyover ramps. So again, helping to remove some of those conflict points and creating a safer interchange, also increasing operations and efficiency at the same time. So hopefully, again, folks will want to use this interchange and not skip the tolls here. And CR, I don't know if there was another part of that question that I totally glossed over with answering that.
No, I think that helps address the concern that the reason people are getting off of 95 at that interchange is because of the toll. And
Right.
what we're seeing is you know, is definitely not that, especially with the continued growth that we see
Yeah.
south of Newark on 896 and in the Middletown community. It's also worth noting that there are restrictions on
Yes.
Elkton Road in that area to really limit especially truck traffic from avoiding the tolls there. And Newark does active enforcement out there to prevent that from happening. Okay, the next question here is we mentioned that 95 would be widened over the Route 72. Does this mean at the conclusion of the project there will be more than 4 lanes of traffic in each direction of I-95?
No, that is not our intent. Apologize if that's the way it came out. Right now, SR 72 is down to a single lane in each direction. When I say we're going to reopen it before Labor Day, that is to reopen 2 lanes in each direction. So there's 4 lanes total. We're not widening 72 in this area.
Okay, and then just a question about is it possible to add a barrier on the 896 southbound exit to prevent people from cutting in and delaying traffic? It also just is discussing the issue of being rear-ended there. Again, I think this speaks to the need for the project. This is the issue all along that's been happening and causing crashes out there. Mark, any other comments on that?
So there's several questions about this weave. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do with barrier wall. Someone referenced bollards, which we call duckies, the little plastic duckies. We cannot install those either because it's basically that's the way the current configuration is. It's a weave for southbound 95 to southbound 896 and southbound 896 to northbound 95. One of the major reasons for this project is to eliminate that weave. So we plan on having that taken care of starting next spring of 26 when we open up the first ramp. So that's the only way we can really solve this weave issue safely.
Got it. Okay. And is there a project still planned for the intersection of Route 896 and Route 40?
There is CR. Unfortunately, we don't have a time frame right now for the construction. We do have a website for that one as well. It's on our del.gov/projects. And we'll keep that updated as soon as we know more when that's going to be kicking off.
Okay. And then Steve, do we have a slide that shows just a question here about what are the improvements on southbound 896 from 895 down through the area of Glasgow High School?
Yeah, I'll pull up our overall slide for the interchange.
Okay.
So here's the interchange. Here's 95, 896 southbound. So as you travel southbound, as I said, there'll be a single lane on 896 that goes over the bridge, as Mark said. The traffic across the bridge over 95, the traffic volumes drop significantly because we're taking those heavy traffic movements and putting them on the flyover ramps. So that single lane continues. We have our southbound 95 to 896 southbound is a 2-lane ramp. So that will turn into a 3-lane section, 3 lanes. We carry that 3 through lanes through the old Baltimore Pike intersection. So there'll be a right turn lane plus 3 through lanes going through. And then from old Baltimore Pike to the Glasgow High School intersection, we drop the 3rd lane and get back to a 2-lane section before we get to Glasgow High School. So that allows us to flush more traffic through the old Baltimore Pike traffic light coming southbound.
Okay. Next question is just regarding Old Baltimore Pike, and have we considered adding a right turn arrow at the light from 896 to westbound Old Baltimore Pike?
I'm not aware of any discussions to add a right turn arrow off southbound 896 to westbound Old Baltimore Pike. I know traffic is heavy there, peak PM hours. But at this time, no. Hopefully with the additional lanes that Steve referenced, start to drop some of that traffic concern there.
Okay.
I know a lot of people will take OBP to get around continuing on southbound 896. Maybe they'll go OBP before cutting south again. But hopefully with the increased capacity, our hope is with the increased capacity, eliminate that need.
Okay. Then just several questions here about just pedestrian and bicycle improvements in the area of 896 and Old Baltimore Pike. What improvements are planned? Is there any plans to connect into Iron Hill Park directly? And these questions I are also really, I think, related to things that will be addressed with future projects. For example, the Friends group that are very active in the old Coochis Bridge historic site are currently working on a master plan. And one of the things they want to do is make that site accessible, especially for pedestrians and bicyclists. Right now, it is certainly not friendly to bicycle and pedestrians, and that's something we are going to be collaborating with them on as they develop their master plan. And certainly that's something we want to ensure that there is a safe way to cross Old Baltimore Pike in that area as well. Again, connecting into Iron Hill Park, it still necessitates going up Old Baltimore Pike to the entrance there. And again, that's something that future improvements will certainly be looked at once this project is completed, to provide those types of amenities. Okay, let's see, the next question here is just northbound 95 to northbound 896. Northbound 95 to northbound 896 does not cross traffic. That will just merge into northbound to night. It's the northbound 95 movement to southbound 95. Can we just walk through what that alignment looks like again as you're accessing 896?
Yeah, let me pull the slide up again. So I think you're talking about both of these movements. So if you're heading northbound on 95 to go northbound on 896, it will be the same configuration it is today, a stop signal, but the difference is going to be today you have to cross 2 lanes of heavy traffic. As I said, coming south out of Newark, people that want to go northbound, they're going to be on this ramp now. So they're not going to be coming through the interchange and crossing here. So you have a single lane of traffic going south on 896 and a single lane going northbound on 896. So the traffic volumes at these intersections are much less than they actually are today. Or I should say before we closed both the ramps.
Okay. And also just a question that is surprisingly relevant from what we've had happen earlier this year. Is the project earthquake proof? How do we plan for that in our infrastructure?
So Steve, I'm gonna have you answer
I
this
knew you
one
guys
from
were
the
gonna make me answer that one.
I know, sorry.
From a design standpoint, we don't get the type of earthquakes in this part of the country that it's not like in California where they have special designs for things, but everything's within the AASHTO Bridge Design Code, so everything is designed to meet those codes, which would include the earthquake loads and things for this part of the country, which are very small.
Okay, and then just along those same lines, referencing the 95 fire last year, how are these steel girders protected against fire?
So we're going to call what happened in Philadelphia. It's a very unfortunate event that occurred up there in Philadelphia. There's no great way to protect our girders against fire. We constantly monitor underneath of our bridges across the state, constantly doing bridge inspections to make sure there's nothing being stored under there or anybody staying under there. So we always monitor our bridges. It's not something that you could put into place to say this is completely fireproof, because I don't know that anything is completely 100% fireproof of anything. But we constantly monitor our bridges to make sure that our assets, that the state's assets, are secure.
Okay. And next question, just about how will 896 southbound traffic be able to turn right when turn right on Old Baltimore Pike when traffic is coming off the ramp in the right lanes?
Yeah, so when we do our traffic analysis and we do the proposed interchange, which we project out to future traffic numbers, those are things that we analyze, what they call a weave. So we look at the traffic numbers, like I said, project them out, and then it's put into the traffic model. So there's enough distance based off the model for when that lane, those 2 lanes come on to meet with 896 for traffic that wants to make that right, to be able to make make their way through across those 2 lanes and into the right turn lane.
Okay. And just a question about how long does poured concrete need to set before the metal beams are placed on them?
So we follow our standard specifications, which is a 28-day cure on your concrete. Sometimes the concrete, we're able to reach that ultimate strength earlier than 28 days, but we take test cylinders and we break those cylinders. So we have whatever concrete was placed in the piers, we broke into test cylinders. We know the strength of that concrete before we set steel on them.
Okay. And then, just a question specifically about rebar that is used, and is there a new rebar that's being used similar to what was rebuilt on the rebuilt section of 95 in Philadelphia that withstands high temperatures and heavy weights?
So we're using our standard rebar for this project. There is new types of rebar coming into the market. We do plan on piloting some of those new types of rebar on different bridges across the state. This wasn't a project we wanted to pilot something new on because of the high ADT numbers of these bridges. But we are constantly testing new materials and new methods to build projects, build them faster, build them cheaper. Not materially cheaper, but cost cheaper. So we're always looking for new innovative ways, and we will be testing some fiber reinforcement instead of some rebar, but we will use some fiber reinforcement on some of the concrete pavement, but not in the bridge decks themselves on this project.
Okay. And Brianna, just another question about the landscaping and tree planting. I know we mentioned, are there plans to plant trees all along the construction area where we've removed them, not just along the interchange itself?
So Sierra, I don't believe we have any current plans along. I think 896 was the question along Southbound 896 at this time. I think that's something we can look into, but that's not currently planned.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
And will 896 from Old Baltimore Pike to 95 northbound be 2 lanes, including the 95 northbound ramp? And that might be best showed from using one of the displays, just to show that what that movement will look like for those that are on the flyover ramp from 896 northbound and those that are going to be merging onto 95 northbound from 896 northbound.
So Steve, are you able to use your cursor to kind of walk through that? Because I'm and you're on mute, by the way.
It was inevitable. It was inevitable that I did that.
No worries.
There we go.
Thank you.
So we're looking at the southbound 896 to northbound northbound.
Correct. Correct. It's just a question about traffic. The traffic movements. Are there 2 lanes of
Okay, I got you.
of traffic?
So coming south out of Newark on southbound 896 to go northbound on I95. This is a single lane ramp. It's a 50-mile-an-hour ramp, so we're able to get a higher speed ramp here. So it's a single lane to carry the traffic. And then your northbound 896 and northbound I95. Today, that's a single lane. Our proposed condition, it'll be a 2-lane ramp. The traffic on that ramp today is heavy enough that it should be 2 lanes. And then the other thing that you can't see on this slide, but as you go to the north, today the merges of those two sections of traffic are very close. We're separating it out. So this southbound 896 to northbound 95, this ramp connects into 95 about a mile to the north. So we have a good separation. So the traffic has time to merge in, and then we introduce the other traffic. And then coming southbound, as I said earlier, it's a 2-lane exit off of 95 to go north or south on 896. It'll be a single lane to go northbound on 896. And then we'll have 2 lanes that'll go southbound and merge in with southbound 896.
Okay. And then a couple of questions here. Again, can we go back to the timeline, the one slide that shows the opening of the various ramps? just asking about when they'll be opening and when everyone can expect relief with the opening of those ramps.
I think the beginning of the relief is going to be spring of 25 when we open the southbound 95 to 896 ramps. That's southbound 95 to northbound 896, southbound 95 to southbound 896. That'll eliminate that weave right off the bat for us. And you'll start to see some easing of the congestion from that those two ramp openings alone, I believe.
Okay. And then just another question about the night work that's currently taking place along 896 in the area of Old Baltimore Pike and Glasgow High School. A timeline update on that.
Brandon, you go ahead and talk to that one. Sorry, surprised you a little bit.
Mark,
So-
it's Natalie. If you're talking about the concrete pavement, that's a 2-week closure.
It is. But I know they have some other activities down there, and I'm not sure how much of it's going to be more night work or not.
Yeah, so that will be ongoing here as there's some phase construction along 896, at least throughout the summer. And it'll carry both northbound and southbound work along that corridor.
Next question is, will there be a dual left turn lane from southbound 896 to northbound Old Baltimore Pike?
Under this project, there will not. No, it doesn't warrant 2 lanes.
Okay.
I mean, that's
Go ahead.
OBP's single lane in that area anyway. So if it was dualized, it'd be short-lived.
And then, just another question for areas that have the zipper merge. Are we planning to use signage about the zipper merge in those areas?
At this time, no. If I thought a sign would help people do what they're supposed to do, I'd put it up in a minute. I'm also very concerned about sign congestion. Anytime we have a construction project, people get inundated with signs because we love signs. I would love to put up a sign and have people do the right thing, but at this time, no, we don't. But I wish people would just do the zipper merge and be friendly to each other.
Okay. And our next question here, and looks like we're getting near the end. So thank you all for your patience and your multitude of questions. How do we plan to manage the traffic merge after coming off of 896 and then entering the single acceleration lane to I-95 southbound? Is this going to be a traffic pinch point?
So Steve, I don't know if we're referring to in the proposed condition, this southbound 896 to southbound 95 area.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to decipher what ramp they're talking about.
I think that's what it sounds like to me. And I would say that with our traffic folks, when we had gone through our modeling efforts and everything with the projected traffic volumes, that didn't seem to cause any pinch points for us.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just looking through here to make sure that we've addressed the questions that have come in. If we've missed a question, or if you have any additional questions, again, feel free to email us after this, which is the info@95896improvements.com, and we'll respond promptly. Have we received any questions to that email during the presentation? Oh, here we go. Couple more just popped up there. Just a question about tolling in this area on southbound 95. Do we have any plans to eliminate the tolls and make it open road tolling, which is being done in many states.
At this time, I don't think there's a plan to go to open road tolling. I think every state would eventually love to do that. Just not aware of it right now as I sit here.
Right. We do have the highway speed lanes, but again,
Yeah.
No current plans to eliminate the existing toll plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add, I think the first part of that question, it will be the same that it is today. If you take the southbound ramp, you would have to go through the tolls like you do today. You wouldn't be able to get into the high speed lanes.
Okay. And then just go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know there's some questions about the shared use path that's going in here.
Yeah.
Right now, what you have is just the pathway across 95 that goes down to Old Baltimore Pike and links into that intersection. We don't have plans to go further than that at this time. If anything happens, it would be a future project before we did anything else. So I just want to kind of clarify that. I know there's been some more questions about the bicycles and pedestrian pathways.
Correct. And
Yeah.
Just referencing the Friends of Iron Hill, the Cooches Bridge groups, also again a lot of things happening for just planning in that area. It's something we are going to be a process we're going to be participating in. Obviously, we want to make sure that the area is safe for those that would like to use bikes and walk in that area. So stay tuned. I think there will be more news on that happening. Obviously getting this path across 95 will be a significant addition. That's going to be a catalyst for those development of these types of projects here in that Old Baltimore Pike 896 area, because we're going to be making it more accessible. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's there's going to be opportunities to look at that and make improvements in the future.
And CR, just to add that, Newcastle County is doing a planning study right now, looking at linking Iron Hill, Cooches Bridge Historic District down to Glasgow High School or down to Glasgow Park. So I think that's the type of project that will develop some of that, and you'll see that in the future. But I agree, this is a big link that we're creating across 95 that's going to allow all that to connect into it. Future.
Great. Okay. Well, just pausing for a moment. Again, thank you all for the time and staying with us. And we still have more than 60 people that have stayed with us for the since 6 o'clock to hear this update. So we really appreciate your time and excellent questions. As this is the largest project that we have currently underway in the state. It's one of our most heavily used interchanges in the state, so we know it impacts many of you each and every day, and that you're eager to see this project get done, and we are as well. So again, the website is really your front door for all things that'll be happening with the project, and staying tuned for more updates. We'll plan to do another session once as we move into a later phase of the project, especially before the ramps and we have these major traffic shifts. Just provide an opportunity to present that information to you all and answer any questions you have. But again, you don't have to wait for that. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to reach out to us through the website. You can even contact us by phone 760 2080. That reaches the DelDOT Community Relations Department, or dotpr@del.gov. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions or concerns. Happy to address those as they as you may have them. So with that, we will conclude this meeting and let everyone get on with the rest of their night. Thank you all for your time, and we look forward to continuing to move this project forward. A recording will be available as well on the project website if you have any wish to go back and review some of the information from tonight, or want to share that with others who are interested. So On behalf of our panel, thank you again for your patience, your support, and please travel safely. Take care. Good night.